Hi, here at the DPE Symposium in Orlando with another guest, Mr. Dennis Zabka. And Dennis, I understand that you've had a long and illustrious career in the Air Force, 24 years in the Air Force, flying B-52s as a squadron commander and also as an instructor pilot.
That's correct, Ron.
Thank you very much for your service to our country and the military. That's very good. And now that you're retired from the military, I understand you're working at Fort Myers with Paragon flight training as the Part 141 Assistant Chief Flight Instructor. And also, you've shared with me that you're wanting to be a DPE candidate for getting delegated as a designated pilot examiner.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's been a great opportunity after transitioning from the military to get picked up by a school like Paragon. They're definitely doing things a little bit differently there. They're very customer service oriented. We have all brand new aircraft. We've got more than 30 Piper Archers right now, or the Piper Pilot P100I is actually what we're flying, full glass cockpit. And as assistant chief pilot there, I'm onboarding new instructors and also doing stage checks and trying to transition now into that evaluation role beyond just Paragon stage checks, so that hopefully we can help mitigate some of the issues with delays in check rides.
So you mentioned delays in check rides. I would imagine, like so many flight schools around the area, you are suffering some from the DPE shortage that we are all aware of. Is that the case at Paragon as well?
Well, I would say we've kind of identified at the conference here that there are lots of issues with flight practicals these days. Part of it can be documentation isn't appropriate, and that kind of bogs down the system with DPs that are available in the area. Particularly in Southwest Florida, in the Fort Myers area, we only have one local examiner that's currently assigned to Fort Myers. So there's multiple flight training schools in the area. You know, ours is one of them. We have two locations. We've got one at Fort Myers and we've got one in Punta Gorda, and we have a third branch in Georgia, but that's kind of a different story. But because of the volume of candidates we have going to flight practicals, I think we are experiencing the same concerns with trying to have flight practicals happen within a reasonable amount of time after course completion, as a lot of other flight schools in the country are.
What would you say is the rough amount of time from when a candidate is ready for a check ride until he or she gets scheduled with an examiner?
You know, I think it depends on the situation, right? So in Florida here, we just got a rainy and hurricane season, so that can cut a good number of training or flight days out of the equation. So maybe people that had a check ride scheduled need to be rescheduled. People that might have had to discontinue for weather or some other reason will have to get rescheduled for another flight another day. So all those initial spots that someone might have down the road now turn into recontinuances or rechecks for people. So it's hard to say on any given day based on all the variables that are involved, including DPE schedules and the client's schedule, right? That matters too. So overall, because we have such a large client list, around 300 people right now, wow. We are scheduling people all the way out until March of 2025. And today's date is October 24th. So there's a good 5-month gap there potentially from when someone could potentially be ready for a flight evaluation versus the time when they're actually scheduled to get it. Now, we are canvassing the country, reaching out to all the DPEs, and this is a great conference to make some of those networking connections to pull people in to kind of help us mitigate that delay time. But there's a lot of DPEs willing to chip in. It's just a matter of making that coordination happen on a national level. And I think one of the things we identified here at this conference was that the FAA is trying to co-locate all those DPEs under one central office, which I think will help. It makes DPEs available from all over the country to come in and assist when they can, especially maybe during bad weather for those northern tier states that aren't going to do a lot of check rides in the wintertime. I'm sure they're super excited to come down to Florida, in January, February time frame if you're from Michigan or Montana or something like that. So
indeed, January, February would be just after hurricane season ends. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the best flying time around here in Florida.
Indeed it is. Being an Orlando resident, I would certainly agree with that. The winter months are just great for everything in Florida, to include flying. Well, it's good that you made some connections and understand that there are a number of DPs here at this symposium who said, yes, I'm willing to travel and I'm willing to go to other other places, and several of them are doing that. So hopefully that will alleviate some of your DPE shortage. Now let's turn to you. So you were an instructor pilot in the Air Force, and now you're an instructor as well in a Part 141 school, and you have a desire to become a designated pilot examiner yourself. Has attending this symposium this week aided you in your endeavor, do you think?
Absolutely. It's been great to be here with all these great Americans that want to give back to the community and be a part of building safety into general aviation. So having been on the front side of that as an instructor with a Part 141 school, it's great to get the feedback from these people on the back half that are receiving that product and giving good feedback about how we can improve training, what we can do with our instructor corps to make them more aware of what DPs are looking for. That includes documentation, flight training, just general awareness of what the training standards are, that kind of thing. So this has been a wonderful event, especially professionally for my end, making some connections that I can look at these people as mentors potentially in the future to help onboard me to that cadre of evaluators in the future as well.
Good. I am sure you will make a good DP once you finally get trained and designated, and I wish you the very best. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Dennis, for your comments today. I'm Ron Timmermans for the Florida Aviation Network, broadcasting live and in the clear from the DPE conference sponsored by FSANA in Orlando, Florida.